There is nothing that is wrong in wanting you to stay here with me. I know you've got somewhere to go, but won't you make yourself at home and stay with me? And don't you ever leave. Lay down, Sally, and rest here in my arms. Don't you think you want someone to talk to? Lay down, Sally, no need to leave so soon. I've been trying all night long just to talk to you. Sun ain't nearly on the rise. We still got the moon and stars above. Underneath the velvet skies, love is all that matters. Won't you stay with me? Don't you ever leave. Lay down, Sally, and rest here in my arms. Don't you think you want someone to talk to? Lay down, Sally, there's no need to leave so soon. I've been trying all night long just to talk to you. See the morning light, color in your face so dreamily. So don't you go and say goodbye. You can lay your worries down and stay with me. Don't you ever leave. Lay down, Sally, and rest here in my arms. Don't you think you want someone to talk to? Lay down, Sally, so soon. I've been trying all night long just to talk to you. Lay down, Sally, and rest here in my arms. Don't you think you want someone to talk to? Lay down, Sally, there's no need to leave so soon. I've been trying all night long just to talk to you.
Jesse is a friend. Yeah, I know he's been a good friend of mine. But lately something's changed, it ain't hard to define. Jesse's got himself a girl and I wanna make her mine. And she's watching him with those eyes, and she's loving with that body, I just know it. And he's holding her in his arms late at night. You know I wish that I had Jesse's girl. I wish that I had Jesse's girl. Where can I find a woman like that? I'll play along with the charade. There doesn't seem to be a reason to change. You know I feel so dirty when they start talking cute. I wanna tell her that I love her, but the point is probably in mood. 'Cause she's watching him with those eyes, and she's loving him with that body, I just know it. And he's holding her in his arms late at night. You know, I wish that I had Jesse's girl. I wish that I had Jesse's girl. Where can I find a woman like that, like Jesse's girl? I wish that I had Jesse's girl. Where can I find a woman? Where can I find a woman like that? And I'm looking in the mirror all the time, wondering what she don't see in me. I've been funny, I've been cool with the lines. Ain't that the way love's supposed to be? Tell me, where can I find a woman like that? You know, I wish that I had Jesse's girl. I wish that I had Jesse's girl. I want Jesse's girl. Where can I find a woman like that, like Jesse's girl? I wish that I had Jesse's girl. I want Jesse's girl.
Hello everybody and welcome to Uski and Herbie show here on Herbie FM Radio. It's 7:59 p.m. Uski is on Ewan McCreef, my good friend who is part of the show, is on assignment this evening. Hopefully we'll have him next Wednesday night. We'll be live here every Wednesday night starting tonight at 8 o'clock, 8 to 10 p.m. here on Herbie FM Radio. We're going to give you a little schedule change here. The head coach of Colgate, Coach Hunt, was supposed to be on at 8 o'clock. He had some family situations, so we'll try to get him on September 11th when Colgate plays Wayne and Mary. So at 8:15, live over the telephone, former Super Bowl 50 center who played center for the Broncos of Denver, who is part of the Notre Dame Radio Network. Ryan Harris will join us from Colorado. We'll talk to him about Irish football, because the Irish will be kicking off in a week or so against the Louisville Cardinals in Louisville on Labor Day night. So, and then we'll talk to Coach Art Valente, who is the head coach of Villanova football, at 8:30. So hopefully you folks could join us here tonight here on Herbie Fan Sports Radio. In the meantime, we're going to play some interviews we did during the summer that we recorded this weekend. A big game between Miami and Florida playing each other down there in Orlando in Mickey Mouse World. I want to say the old Citrus Bowl, but they're going to be playing the Camp World Bowl Stadium, or now that's where the Citrus Bowl will still be playing. Miami and Florida are playing each other this Saturday night at 7 o'clock on ABC. So it's basically the Heidel Bowl for me, because both brothers one's a Hurricane fan and one's a Gator fan. Matt Treconelli will be joining me shortly, at 8:15, so he'll be filling in for Uski tonight. So in the meantime, here is Manny Diaz, who I spoke to at the ACC kickoff basically a month ago. So here it is.
How are you?
Outstanding.
Those of us in the triangle were enjoying your reminiscence about the NC State
Right.
line. What are your remembrances, fond or otherwise, of that time?
Remember, talk about NC State lineman story. Mario Williams came to a team camp, and I had not seen him in person. He was still in high school, and his team showed up on a bus, and I'm like, who is this Mario Williams guy? I can't wait to see him get off the bus. And 14 little kids get off the bus, and you're like, I hope one of these isn't Mario. And then the human that has to like duck his head to fit it, like come out of a school bus like this, and I was like, that's what they look like. That's what a first round draft choice looks like. And so just how neat it was for us to be able to build something like that at State, and into the excitement. I always felt like we had some great nights in Carter Finley Stadium, and two of my sons were born in Raleigh, so it's a part of our life that we look back on with a lot of fondness.
What does it do to your career? I mean, that's early in your career. You came in as a GA. It's kind of a foundation place for you. What did it do to kind of enhance your career to where you are today?
Well, when you're young in your career like that, you're obviously more impressionable. So, there were so many great lessons to learn. The way that we built the program from day one, coming in and implemented a plan that got us to the 11-win season in 2002. The challenge of success. There's a million books in the bookstore on how to deal with adversity, and one of the things we struggle with is how to deal with success. It's hard sometimes, and they don't write books on that, and I think it's much harder to deal with the success than it is to deal with the adversity. So you learn lessons about that, and then for me defensively, as a coordinator, I was exposed to, obviously Chuck Amato is a great defensive coach, and I had learned that system, and being around some other great defensive coaches, when Reggie Herring came in 04, and as a young coach, all these coaches that came in help you shape your philosophy. So if you say, one day I'm going to have a chance to run it myself, I'm going to do it this way. And it's always funny because when I come to Charlotte, because Charlotte was my last game when we shut out South Florida in the, whatever the Charlotte Bowl was called back then. And that was my last game before I went to Middle Tennessee. So every time I come to this town, I always remember that day.
Coach Diaz, talk about the state of the program. Where is the program today, getting ready to take on a new season?
Well, we're not what we were when we limped off the field in New York last December. We're not that team. What team we are, I'm not really sure yet. We're gonna get an idea of that next Friday when we get back together again. Our focus the whole season is to learn how to be a team that's defined by our toughness and our level of competition, which is really what the University of Miami has always been founded on. And those are not things that sound foreign to any other coach or any other football program, but there's just certain things that at the University of Miami, there's been a very specific recipe for success. When it's followed, Miami generally wins a lot of games. When it's not, for whatever reason, they generally don't. So I felt like in the past that we were a team that on different days would play at different levels, and so we're trying to create a competition. We may not have all of our guys on our roster may not be up for it. And part of what we want to do this summer was sort of decide that, if you don't ever turn up the heat, you don't really find out who's really in and who's not in. Right. So this offseason has been about trying to really find out who's all in our program and who's kind of along for the ride, and identify the ones that are along for the ride and keep them out of dependable situations. We may still need them because you got to put 11 out there. Right. But until we can recruit to get a bunch of guys that are really Miami guys out there, at least we got to know as coaches.
Do you feel like that Coach Rick said everything perfectly, making your transition good for you, to build on what he was there?
There's no doubt. The program is in infinitely better shape in 2019 than it was in 2016. For all I have to do is look at my office every day. We've got a brand new indoor practice facility with brand new offices. I mean, it's not even the same football program it was 4 years ago. And these are things that, no slight on the coaches before Coach Rick. Everyone knew that Miami needed this for a long time. Right. But it took a guy like Mark Rick with his vision and his leadership skills to galvanize a community to get everybody to step up to make it happen and fix a long-standing wrong. The guys before Coach Rick could have done better if they had that too. I'm the very fortunate one now that gets to benefit from the heavy lifting of the men that came before me. So I'm well aware of that, including Mark. Mark and I still have a great friendship. We still communicate all the time. He texted me this morning, and I know this. My last point on that is, you won't find a guy that loves the University of Miami more than Mark Rick does, and no one wants to see it succeed more than he does.
Manny, were you surprised?
appreciate the fact you're sitting here. Your voice sounds so wonderful, but your face don't look too clear. So barmaid, bring a pitcher, another round of brew. Honey, why don't we get drunk and screw? Why don't we get drunk and screw? I just bought a water bed, it's filled up for me and you. They say you are a snuff queen, honey, I don't think that's true. So why don't we get drunk and screw? Pick it, Coral Reapers, here we go. Why don't we get drunk and screw? I just thought a water bed is filled up for me and you. They say you are a snuff queen, honey, I don't think that's true. So why don't we get drunk and screw? Yeah, now, baby, I said, why don't we get drunk and screw?
Hey Tom, it's Chris Idell from Herbie Radio in Baltimore. I'm doing good. I know you're a busy guy with all this stuff going on with the new network and the season kicking off literally this weekend. So thanks for taking some time with me this morning. I appreciate that. First thing, let's talk about the network. How excited are you with this network starting tomorrow? I totally agree with you. And then, like with this weekend, with the first game of the weekend, with Miami and Florida playing each other, that's a good way to promote the network, knowing that you got an ACC school against an SEC school. Yeah. Well, the game you're doing is Boise State against Florida State. This is year 2 of Willie Taggart. We talked last year at the ACC kickoff, you and I, about Willie Taggart and all that stuff. Do you feel like this game is literally his Super Bowl to get this thing off in the right foot? Because I know last year against Virginia Tech, it was Labor Day night. Everybody was all on Florida State, and the offense just kept sputtering. You feel like now with Bryles going to be there, do you feel like it's going to be more, hopefully it'll be like the old-fashioned fun and gun that they used to do?
Well, we're going to find out. And for Florida State fans, Willie Taggart and his staff, they better hope it is. That's actually my broadcast on ESPN prime time. So we'll be there, broadcasting that game for ESPN on that Saturday night. And, it's interesting. It's one of those games that is probably circled as being one of the more intriguing must-win games for any ACC team in week 1. Most notably because of who the opponent is. Boise State has done such a remarkable job of taking advantage of those any given Saturday scenarios where they can jump up and beat somebody even if they're not supposed to. And then the pressure that is on Florida State is really tagged to the way they ended the season a year ago.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Uski and Herbie show here on Herbie FM Sports Radio. And as Tom Loomerville with us this morning. Yeah, he's going for that new ACC network that's going to be coming out tomorrow on ESPN. Right now, we got our good friend Ryan Harris. This time last year, he I guess it's an anniversary for you, Ryan. You got 2 days from now? You got the job this time last year for the Irish broadcasting.
Yeah, it's been about a year, and a full year at that. Full year at that.
Yeah, so we have Ryan Harris with us, who is now doing everything out there in Colorado with the Broncos during preseason, and then during the fall he's doing the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. So I know you probably have you been to any Irish practices, or have you seen them on film or anything?
I've seen some clips of the practices. They're pretty tight about the practice film. And been in close contact with a lot of the writers as well, heading down there probably this week or next just to catch a day of practice. But, a lot is being said about Ian Book and his completion percentage last year, and Ian Book has improved. Chase Claypool has taken the step that the coaching staff really kind of hoped he would take last year, but it's taken it this year, and that's going to make a huge difference. And you got Jafar Armstrong and about 3 other running backs that are going to really help out. The return of Liam Eichenberg. Things are looking up for the Irish.
Yeah, they open up in a week or so down in Louisville, and Louisville's coming off a rebuilding year. Bobby Petrino got fired. Now they got the coach from Appalachian State, and they got basically a whole new offense. So I guess that's going to be an interesting game there on Labor Day night.
Yeah, and pretty cool for the kids to play on Monday night. That's pretty cool. So those guys are, excited, and they already just had their first practice with Louisville in mind, and it's going to be, and that's why you go to Notre Dame. You get those special games. You get to be a part of some funky starts, and Louisville. Hey, the last two starting quarterbacks for Louisville have been first-round picks.
Yeah.
So it's a program that has success and has competed at a high level, and it's going to be a good test for the Irish early on, and then of course. Week 3 they'll be at Georgia, and then they'll be late. If they can beat Georgia in Georgia, Michigan at Michigan, and Stanford at Stanford, there's no chance they're out of the top 3 going into the college football playoffs.
Yeah, like last year, you guys, the Irish made it down to Dallas, and you and I, we did our road trip, and it wasn't a very good game for Irish fans, against Clemson. But do you still think Clemson's that machine that's going to be, get somebody got to knock them off?
Trevor Lawrence is the best college football player I've ever seen. And I don't have as much time as some others, but it's not even close. He is incredible at the quarterback position, arm strength, vision, poise. And the best part is his footwork is terrible. And that's something that no doubt he'll be able to work on. So he was so good that after the Cotton Bowl, I came back to Denver when I had my radio show, and I told everybody, hey, Broncos do whatever they want this season coming up, but tank for Trevor 2021 because he is going to 2022 because he's going to be the real deal. I mean, it is going to be unbelievable. He's going to be the first pick overall, and the best thing for Notre Dame is that Clemson went and beat Alabama by even more points, scored even more points on Alabama than they did against Notre Dame. So that kind of took that whole Notre Dame didn't belong out of the equation when they put up those points on Alabama.
Exactly. We're here with Ryan Harris here on the Uski and Herbie show, and my colleague, who's still in tonight, Matt Cecchinelli for Uski, Ewan McCreef, he's a big Notre Dame fan since he's 4 years old, so he's ready to ask you some Irish questions.
I like it.
How do you think the Irish are going to do this year? Do you think that they're going to get back into the playoffs, or do you think that we're going to get to one of the New Year's Six Bowl games?
Yeah, for me, it's the minimum. It's going to be a minimum of 10 wins, and again, if they can win in Georgia, if they can run the table 12-0 with the schedule they have, they will be in the college football playoff. And so there's a lot that has to happen. The linebacking core of the defense has been depleted. 200 tackles between Tavon Coney and Drew Tranquil, both in the NFL now. So it's going to be tough to make up for that. But they can do that, and they will with the program that Coach Kelly's put together.
And also another question. Well, with Ian Book coming off of that loss and stuff with Clemson to the playoff, which really hurt me. Because again, just like what Chris said, I am a huge Notre Dame fan and everything. How do you think that Ian Book will start off the season with Louisville?
Ian Book's going to be a perennial contender for the Heisman Trophy. He's an excellent quarterback. He's an excellent college quarterback. And, the only issue is only 2 times in the last 9 years the starting quarterback played the whole season. Whether that was due to injury or to performance, Coach Kelly really hasn't found stability at that position, and Ian Book really does bring that.
That's right, Ryan. Well, Ryan, I was looking at the schedule here. We're playing Louisville on Labor Day night. Then you got New Mexico coming to town with, with the former coach, you guys for the Irish there. So you don't want to have a letdown, but you have a week in between that game. So what did they do? They got to do something during that whole week off.
Well, they rest, and prepare. And then the weak spot for Georgia is going to be the fact that Mel Tucker is no longer the defensive coordinator. The defensive mastermind for CU, Mel Tucker, is out here in Colorado now. And that's going to leave an opening at Georgia. Whether the coordinator is the same, just as good, or Kirby Smart kind of handles it, that's going to be an interesting situation. But a full week to prepare, a week to get healthy, a week to rest, a week to just knock away some of the studies that, oh, by the way, Notre Dame students actually do, and then go and play some high-level football. And that's why you go to Notre Dame.
That's true. I totally agree. Well, Ryan, I know you're a busy man, but I have to ask you one question. Last night, a couple nights ago, Joe Flacco was started for you guys out there in Denver. What do you see with Flacco coming from Baltimore? My dad said the other night it looked like the same old Flacco, pretty quiet, but he didn't realize it was a preseason game.
Yeah, he really did, and that's what the Broncos need. They need a competitor and a pro, and they got that in Joe Flacco. And, more athletic than he showed some athleticism nobody thought he had here in town. So he's got an athleticism and energy about him, and he's accurate. He's an accurate passer. And man, it's going to be fun to watch the Broncos because that's all they need. Their defense is that good. Their defense almost had 2 interceptions, only coming away with 1, but almost 2 interceptions in the first 2 drives of the game in the opponent's territory. So those kind of things really excite me as somebody who's been around the game for 10 years in the NFL that I played. When you've got a defense that can not only create turnovers, but that can get 3 and outs, you're going to have a successful team provided your offense doesn't make major mistakes, and that won't happen under Joe Flacco.
That's true. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for taking some time tonight for us, and we would love to keep talking to you throughout the season, and enjoy your Labor Day weekend, and hopefully we'll talk to you down the road.
Thanks, guys. Have a great one.
All right.
Chris.
All right, man. We'll be right back with the head coach of the Villanova Wildcats, Coach Valente, right here on Herb FM Radio.
Nothing that is wrong in wanting you to stay here with me. I know you've got somewhere to go, but won't you make yourself at home and stay with me? And don't you ever leave. Lay down, Sally, and rest here in my arms. Don't you think you want someone to talk to? Lay down, Sally, so soon. I've been trying all night long just to talk to you. Sun ain't nearly on the rise. We still got the moon and stars above. Underneath the velvet skies, love is all that matters. Won't you stay with me? Don't you ever leave. Lay down, Sally, and rest here in my arms. Don't you think you want someone to talk to? Lay down, Sally, and no need to leave so soon. I've been trying all night long just to talk to you. See the morning light color in your face so dreamily. So don't you go and say goodbye. You can lay your worries down and stay with me. Don't you ever leave. Lay down, Sally, and rest here in my arms. Don't you think you want someone to talk to? Lay down, Sally, so soon. I've been trying all night long just to talk to you. Lay down, Sally, and rest here in my arms. Don't you think you want someone to talk to? Lay down, Sally, there's no need to leave so soon. I've been trying all night long just to talk to you.
Alright folks, welcome back to the Uski and Herbie show here on Herb FM Radio, and you just listened to Ryan Harris, who is one of the analysts for the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. They play a week from now in Louisville against the Louisville Cardinals in the Labor Day night. We're waiting for the coach for Villanova to give us a buzz here. It's 8:27 Eastern time. Before Ryan, we played a half of an interview with Tom Louisville, who is part of the ACC network that's going to be kicking off tomorrow night at 7 o'clock on the ACC network. You can go on your Fire Stick or your, I think, DirecTV. If you have DirecTV, you can watch the network kicking off tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. So we talked to him this morning about the preparations for, he did the first show on the new network yesterday. So we're going to take a break here. We're going to wait for the coach of Villanova to give us a buzz, because Villanova is going to be playing this Saturday up in Colgate, up in upstate New York, in Hamilton, New York. And you can watch that game on CBS Sports Network. Kicks off at 12 noon. So we'll talk to him shortly. You are listening to the Uski and Herbie show. I'm Chris Heidel. Uski, Ewan McCreef on assignment. But he'll be back next week. So in the meantime, here is James Brown.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, Hot pants. Hey, hot pants. Look, hot pants. Smoking hot pants. That's where it's at. That's where it's at. Check your fine stuff on. It looks much better time. My feet will keep going. Girl, you're blowing my mind. Thinking of losing that funky feeling, don't. Cause you got to use what you got to get just what you want. Hey, hot pants. Hey, hot pants. Smoking. Hot pants make you sure yourself. Good God, you want right. You got the only love left. Hey, so brother, if you're thinking of losing that feeling, then don't. Cause a woman got to use what she got to get just what she want. Hey, hey, hot pants. Now look, hot pants won't make you dance, but as slick as you are.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Uski and Herbie show here on Herb FM Radio, and I'm Chris Heidel, and Ewan McCreef will be with us next week. We got the Villanova head coach, Coach Mark Palante, with us. Villanova is going to be playing in week 0 this weekend against Colgate. So, Coach Mark, thanks for joining us. Talk about this game. How was this game originally scheduled for the 31st of August, or was it moved during the summer?
No, it was moved. We actually picked up this game late. We were trying to get, as we always do every year, an FBS game for a guarantee and all the things a lot of people in our league do. And we didn't have one this year, and we were going to play a team. We had an organization from Toronto, Canada. We were looking to play a team from Canada up in the Buffalo area within like our FBS type game. But that kind of fell through at the last minute. And we only had 10 games at the time, and as you know, this is a 12-game schedule this year. Mm-hmm. And then Colgate was looking for another game, so it kind of worked out where we were able to schedule this game with them. So week 0 was pretty much their doing. It was the date that worked for both of us, and just worked out that way. And Colgate was able to get the game on television, and that's why we were able to have it. That's cool. And Colgate last year they played JMU. They beat JMU in the postseason, but their only loss of the season was to Army. Correct. And that's the film we're going off of, because we haven't played Colgate in a number of years, so we don't really know their personnel, and they could probably say the same thing about us. So we're going off of last year's film. They definitely had a phenomenal team with the number 1 defense in the country, and played Army really tough, and then, as you just mentioned, beat, the CAA powerhouse of JMU. So, we're going to have all we can handle when we go up there, and we're just looking forward to going up there and then hopefully playing a consistent game and make a few mistakes and be able to put a good product on the field. But they're definitely a formidable opponent, to say the least.
Yeah. Well, I do have one question to ask you. You got a redshirt freshman from Bel Air, Maryland, from John Carroll, right around the corner not around the corner where I am now, but like 30 minutes from where I used to live. And Quade Ismail. Just talk about his development during camp. Is you going to use him during the season, or is he in any packages? I know his father probably was really, really good, in college football.
Right, yeah, no, he comes from great bloodlines, obviously. You just mentioned his dad, who was an All-American at Syracuse and played a number of years in the NFL, most of those years being with the Ravens. And then his mom was also an All-American basketball player from Syracuse. That's where they met up there. And then obviously his uncle, the Rocket Ishmael, who played at Notre Dame. So, great athlete. Kadir's 6'7", does a great job in the pocket. We have a good competition going on at quarterback. We have Jack Shetland's back. John's his first name, but we call him Jack. He's back, and he's been our backup for the last 2 years. And then Kadir was able to play in 3 games and actually started and won the Ritz game for us last year. And then we have a transfer by the name of Dan Smith, who graduated in 3 years from Campbell University and has done a good job in camp as well. So those are the 3 guys that has been real steady competition throughout the course of preseason and throughout the summer. And Kadir's development and progress has been very good, as you just mentioned. He's really only a redshirt freshman. He's a sophomore in the classroom, and he hasn't played a whole lot for us. So he's so mature, and he has a great way of carrying himself that you almost think he's older than he is, and then you got to take a step back and realize that he's only played in 3 games, and it's only his second year with our program. But those 3 guys are the ones that can compete for the starting nod. Kadir's right in the mix as far as getting some playing time, along with Dan and Jack. And, we're going into the game this week probably leaning toward Dan, but Jack and Kadir are both guys that very well could see some action. Not that we're going to rotate quarterbacks or anything like that, but we are going to look to, see who's going to have the hot hand and so on. And, all 3 of them, it's really improved our quarterback play, and it's added a lot of depth to our quarterback position just by having those guys along with the other guys that are in our program currently.
That's true. Well, we're going to send it with my colleague Matt here. He has a question to ask you, Matt.
Yes, Coach. Can you tell me the 3 key things that you guys need to do during the season to be successful?
Well, the 3 keys, and we say this a lot to the team, try to play a clean game and minimize the turnovers. Turnovers are always a big thing when it comes to what's going on in the course of the game. We want to try to, have fewer turnovers on our opponent. That would be number 1. Number 2, we'd like to just, as I said, play consistent football, eliminate some penalties, not eliminate, because there's always going to be some penalties, but, minimize the penalties and those types of things. And then make as few mental mistakes as possible. And when you get into a first game, a lot of times it's the team that plays the cleaner game is the one that's going to come out on top if you're evenly matched. And I think both of our programs are fairly evenly matched going into this one. So, eliminate the mental mistakes, try to minimize your turnovers and minimize your penalties, and I think that'll be a good place to start.
Yeah. Well, talk about Coach Hunt. We were supposed to get him on the show tonight, but he had some situations we couldn't get him on. Have you ever coached against him before, or is this your first time this Saturday?
Well, I know Coach Hunt has been there for a while, but it's only my 3rd year as head coach, and I know he's been in the program kind of like I've been in the program here as an assistant. So I haven't looked too deep into his bio. We have not played Colgate in a number of years. We faced him in the playoffs a number of years ago, and then we did travel to Hamilton, New York. I want to say it was maybe the 01 or 02 season, so it's gone back quite a ways where we played them in Hamilton. I believe they still had a grass field at the time. So it's been a while since we played them. We do know some of the other coaches. I know Terry Dow really, really well from, upstate New York. I'm from Syracuse originally, so I know those guys. I know Stan really well, and his dad, head coach at Marion Catholic, recruited Eastern Pennsylvania for a while. Stan recruits down here, so Stan's a good friend of mine. And then I also know Paul Schaffner. I've known Paul for a long time. I used to coach at Lafayette a number of years ago before I came to Villanova, and Paul had a stint at Lafayette at one point as well. So really good coaching staff. I don't know Coach Hunt as well as I know some of the assistants, but obviously you look at the success he's had and what he's done, especially in the most recent years, and he's doing a tremendous job with the program up there at Colgate.
Yeah. Well, it was pretty. I was watching you guys during camp, and you guys went to Ocean City, New Jersey. You guys do that every year, right? So, how was the environment there for the folks in New Jersey to see you guys?
It's good. That's something that I started my first year, which now would be 3 summers ago. So this is the 3rd time we did that. And the reason behind it is really just to, get into the season grind, and, you get into those dog days of preseason camp. So it's a good change up for our guys to change the scenery, get off campus a little bit. We have quite a few of Villanova people that do vacation in Ocean City, New Jersey, so it gives us a great opportunity to go down there, kind of a public relations thing, to get in front of some of our fans who are down there for the summer. And a lot of our players' parents go. So what we do is we go down there, we have one of our preseason scrimmages down there, we do that in the morning, and we give our guys a few hours to, go on the boardwalk, spend time with their families, go get a nice lunch. Some of the guys might actually jump into the water a little bit and, get a beach tag. So it's really just change the venue while you're still getting some work done with one of our preseason scrimmages, and an opportunity to, promote Villanova football outside of our immediate area.
That's cool. Well, Coach Mark, thank you so much. I know you're a busy guy. Folks, if you want to watch that game this Saturday at 12 noon, it's on CBS Sports Network. So the first time, I think Villanova's haven't been on the CBS Sports Network in a very long time, right?
I think we've been on a couple years ago.
Okay.
I've been on some of the national programs. I know a couple of times in our league we get on the national program, and then we have some other regional games. So, but this is really tremendous for both programs to get some nationwide exposure.
Yeah, and also you're like the only game besides I think Oregon and Arizona and Miami and Florida playing on this Saturday. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think there's 4 games. I think there is another FCS. I believe Youngstown is playing Stanford in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
But the Colgate Villanova game is the first college kickoff because it's the 12 noon start, and that's pretty exciting for everybody because it is the 150th anniversary of college football. So everyone will have their patches on their uniforms. So that's kind of a unique thing as well.
And plus, you got new unis too, right?
Yeah, we got new away uniforms, so we have a different white jersey that we'll be wearing this weekend. So players always get excited when you get a new uniform and new helmets and those type of things. So guys will look forward to doing that.
Exactly. Well, Coach Mark, thanks so much, and have a safe trip to Hamilton, New York, and we'll talk to you soon.
We sure will, and thanks for having me on.
All right, we'll be right back here on Herbie FM Sports Radio, the Uski and Herbie Show.
Some of y'all never been down south too much. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about this so that you understand what I'm talking about. Down there we have a plant that grows out in the woods and the fields. Looks something like a turnip green. Nearby called it poke salad. Poke salad. Used to know a girl lived down there and she'd go out in the evenings and pick her a mess of it, carry it home and cook it for supper. 'Cause that's about all they had to eat. They did all right. Down in Louisiana, where the alligators grow so mean, there lived a girl that I swear to the world made the alligators look tame. Poke salad, Annie. Poke salad, Annie. Everybody said it was a shame, 'cause her mama was working on a chain gang. A mean, vicious woman. Every day for supper time, she'd go down by the truck patch and pick her mess of poke salad and carry it home in a tow sack. Poke salad, Annie. The Gators got your granny. Chomp, chomp, chomp. And everybody said it was a shame, 'cause her mama was working on chain gang. A wretched, spiteful, Straight razor tote moment. Lord, I must take my mess up. Her daddy was lazy and no count. Claimed he had a bad back. All her brothers were fit for was stealing watermelons out of my truck patch. Poke salad, Annie. The Gators got your granny. Ooh. Everybody said it was a shame, 'cause her mama was working on a chain gang. Sock a little poke salad to me. You know I need me a mess of it. Ooh, good God. Got to have me. Ate her up.
Song sung blue, everybody knows one. Song sung blue, every garden grows one. Me and you are subject to the blues now and then. But when you take the blues and make a song, you sing 'em out again. Song sung blue, weeping like a willow. Song sung blue, sleeping on my pillow. Funny thing, but you can sing it with a cry in your voice. And before you know it starts to feeling good, you simply got no choice. Song sung blue, everybody knows one. Song sung blue, every garden grows one. Me and you are subject to the blues now and then. But when you take the blues and make a song, you sing 'em out again. Song sung blue, weeping like a willow. Song sung blue, sleeping on my pillow. Funny thing, but you can sing it with a cry in your voice. And before you know it starts to feeling good, you simply got no choice.
Alright, folks. Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Uski and Herbie show here on Herbie FM Sports Radio. I'm Chris Heidel. That's Herbie. And Uski is Ewan McCreef. He's on assignment tonight. Matt Chuckinelli is in the booth with us this evening. Eric Malinowski with us, the voice of the Colgate football team. They're going to be the first game at 12 noon on CBS Sports Network this week, week 0, because I don't know why they just call it week 0. First game of the year, so Colgate against Villanova. So Eric, thanks for joining us tonight. Just talk about this big game for Colgate, because last year you guys had a great season. The only loss you had was to an Army squad that went to a bowl game, and pretty much you guys almost made it to the championship game in Frisco, Texas.
First of all, my pleasure for being on, guys. I've been listening to your show. Great show. So thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. And yeah, it's nothing like kicking off the season in a couple days, and it's still in August. Colgate did play a week 0 game a couple years ago against Cal Poly, and I know Coach Hunt asked about that a couple times. Does that prepare you for what you're going to face against Villanova? The difference there was they were traveling across country. At least this time they get to play at home. Cal Poly did not have a good season that year. They were supposed to do good things, but they just didn't put it together that year. And then Villanova coming out of the Colonial Athletic, and we all know what kind of a conference that is. So it should be a good barometer or a good gauge game right off the bat with the Villanova Wildcats. And even though Colgate, every team loses a lot to graduation and other things here and there, Colgate certainly lost their fair share, but they have a lot of talent coming back, led by their quarterback, Grant Brenneman, the Patriot League Offensive Preseason Player of the Year. And then on the other side of the ball, you have the Patriot League Defensive Player of the Year preseason in Nick Wheeler. So even though they lost a lot, Colgate ranked 13 for a reason, and they should have another great season. But you look at their non-conference schedule, and it's absolutely brutal. So I think one of the keys is just surviving the non-conference, coming out healthy, and being ready to give it a go in the Patriot League.
Yeah, speaking of Colgate, this is the first time in playing Villanova since 2008 in the playoffs. But it was a 55-28 loss to Villanova. But yeah, this is Colgate hasn't won since I think back in the 70s. So it's been a very long time since Colgate beat Villanova.
Yeah, it's been a while since they played Villanova, and I believe it was the first game in the series where Colgate had out a victory against the Wildcats. But it's a different game now. I actually did the playoff game back in 2008, and the difference between teams like Villanova and Colgate back then, speed to the outside was the obvious difference. But remember, the Patriot League back then did not offer scholarships. And now that Colgate is available, can offer scholarships as the rest of the Patriot League can if they so choose, and a number of the teams do. But in Colgate's case, you can just see the difference. They not only compete with Colonial teams now, they were 3-0 against the Colonial last year. I'm not saying that's going to be what the record will be every single year, but it's a different matchup now that they go against Villanova. Back in 2008, and when they played other teams out of the Colonial, real good teams out of the Colonial, it was, okay, let's try to survive and maybe pull off a remarkable upset. Now, if we're not only going to compete, we expect to win this game. So with the addition of scholarships back, I believe, in 2013, it's definitely a different ball game when Colgate matches up against a team like Villanova.
Yeah. Well, I do have to ask you, how cool was it last year calling that game-winning field goal against JMU? I know JMU, I think they missed the field goal, right, at the end?
Yeah, Colgate made the game winner. It fooled me a little bit. I didn't even think it was going in, but Chris Puzzy was rock solid all year. 15 out of 17 in the field goal department last year, and Puzzy booted that through. An unbelievable atmosphere. The fact that Colgate got to host a playoff game, which small-town school in Hamilton, New York, they have to do a lot during the regular season to earn a bye and then earn a home playoff game. And the student section, the crowd from Hamilton and Shenango County and Madison County, it was just electric there. And what a game, what a finish. And the Raiders ended up sneaking out with the victory. And they've had James Madison's number as of late, and I know James Madison The year after Colgate being the last time in the playoffs, James Madison ran the table and won the whole thing. So I wonder if that's been talked about in the James Madison locker room again. But Colgate got the upper hand once again against the Dukes last year.
Well, let me send it over to my broadcast partner here. Matt has a question for you, Eric.
Yes. What would Colgate have to do to repeat the season that they had last year?
Hey Matt, how are you? If Colgate's going to repeat the season they had last year, first of all, it's going to be very difficult just because the brutality of their schedule. You look at Villanova, then they travel to Air Force, William and Mary, who has a new head coach, Maine, who went far in the playoffs last year, then it's Dartmouth, and then you start the Patriot League schedule. So their record may not be the same, but can they get as far as they did last year? I think that is an attainable goal. The wide receiver position is a question mark coming into this year. Coach Hunt likes the talent. Graham Brenneman speaks fairly highly of the wide receiving core, but they're untested. So that's a big question mark coming in. There's some question marks as far as the linebackers are concerned, which they've always produced great linebackers. It seems like there's going to be a drop-off and then the next man up. I know that's an old cliche, but for Colgate, it's the truth. We're in the linebacker position. Somebody's always in waiting, and they're the next star after the next kid moves on. And then there's a couple questions in the secondary as they lost a lot of talent back there. But I think they have the talent, and that's all come together. And I'd be surprised if their regular season record is as good as it was last year just because of the strength of this schedule. But I wouldn't be surprised if the odds-on favorite in my mind to win another Patriot League title if they can stay healthy and the talent comes together. And then, you never know what can happen in the playoffs. I think it was, even though the result wasn't what they wanted, playing the best that the FCS has to offer in North Dakota State, I think that was a great thing for the Colgate Raiders because that's where every team wants to go. That's where every team wants to be. It's what North Dakota State has accomplished. And so instead of playing another really good team, they saw the best in North Dakota State. And so I think they took a lot of positives from that game, even though it wasn't the result they wanted.
Okay, and I have one more question for you, and that's about Air Force. So, how do you think that you guys are going to defend Air Force? Because I know Air Force has like the option that they do and everything. It's very tough to defend against the options. So, how do you think Colgate's defense will handle that?
Colgate has seen that before. As they have played in the past, Army, Navy. They played Air Force. They did that game back in 2013. It is tough to prepare for those teams because teams in the Patriot League offer that type of offense. So it's rare when you see that kind of look. The defensive coordinator, Coach Schaffner, you just don't get any better than that. So he'll get his guys as prepared as possible. Going Air Force, it's going to be a tough matchup, no way around it. And the defense will be tested, that's for darn sure. One good thing, I think, is that it is week 2, so Colgate, or week 1 it is, but it's Colgate's second game. So you usually have some rust in that first game. Maybe Colgate will be able to knock off some rust and maybe be a little more fine-tuned than Air Force, since that'll be Air Force's first game. A real tough challenge for Colgate against the Air Force option offense, and they're going to be tested against the Air Force defense as well. Colgate, as I mentioned, was there in 2013, but this is a brand new team. The coaches remember. There's a lot of coaches that involved in that game, but as far as the players, this will be their first experience at Air Force, and they played Army really well last year. I know that was last year, and this year is a different team, but Army had a real good year last year. Air Force is supposed to be really good. It will be a definite test for Colgate.
Exactly. Well, Eric, thank you so much for taking some time tonight. And folks, if you want to watch this game, like we had Coach from Villanova on, you can watch this game this Saturday on the CBS Sports Network at 12 noon from Hamilton, New York. It's going to be a jam-packed crowd, and it's the first game of the college football season. God, I can't believe football is 3 days away there, Eric.
I can't wait, guys. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it, and you guys do a great job with the show. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. We'll be right back with our good friend John Michaels from the State of the U. We'll talk some Canes football right here on Uski and Herbie, right here on Herbie FM Sports Radio.
Busted flat in Baton Rouge, heading for the trains, feeling nearly faded as my jeans. Bobby thumbed the diesel down just before it rained, took us all the way to New Orleans. I took my mouth harp out of my old dirty red bandana. I was playing sad while Bobby sang the blues. With those windshield wipers slapping time and Bobby's clapping hands, we finally sang up every song that driver knew. Whoa, freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Nothing ain't worth nothing, but it's free. Whoa, feeling good was easy, Lord, when Bobby sang the blues. Feeling good was good enough for me. Bobby McGee. From the coal mines of Kentucky to the California sun, Bobby shared the secrets of my soul. Standing right beside me, Lord, through everything I've done. And every night she kept me from the cold. Then somewhere near Salinas, Lord, I let her slip away, looking for the home I hope she'll find. I'd trade all of my tomorrows for a single yesterday, holding Bobby's body next to mine. Whoa, freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Nothing left is all she left for me. Whoa, feeling good was easy, Lord, when Bobby sang the blues. Feeling good was good enough for me. And Bobby McGee. Whoa, freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Nothing ain't worth nothing, but it's free.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Uski and Herbie show here on Herbie FM Sports Radio, and that was Kenny Rogers with the cover of Chris Christopherson, me, and Bobby McGee. We have our good friend John Michaels from the State of the U. Used to be a longtime broadcaster for he did a lot of Atlanta Falcons stuff with West Durham, who you could see on the ACC network on Friday morning. So, John, thanks for joining us. Big game this weekend. Battle of Florida between the Canes and Canes and Gators. So, what do you think about this big game down there in Orlando?
All I know is Friday, can't get here fast enough. I got a 1:40 flight out of Atlanta. I'll be in Orlando by about 3:15. There's a University of Miami party that kicks off, I think, at 5 o'clock. So between 3:15 and 5, it's get the rental car, get to a liquor store, get checked into a hotel, and get into an Uber so I can get over to this party and really get the weekend festivities set off right. I'm excited. I mean, anytime you get into a new season of college football, I think everybody looks and you live with some optimism. Now, do I think Miami's a national championship team? Probably not. I mean, you could probably narrow that list down to 5 or 6, maybe even 8 teams at the most. But they absolutely can go out there and beat a Florida and get a new regime with Manny Diaz kicked off the right way.
Yeah, it seemed like Manny brought today. I saw some pictures on Instagram. He had Jimmy Johnson over there. That must have been pretty cool for the kids to talk to a legend like him.
There's a lot of people that have compared Manny Diaz to Jimmy Johnson, and of course I'll tell them slow your roll. Jimmy Johnson won a national title, probably should have won 3 national titles at Miami, maybe even 4. Had some misfortune at the end of a couple of different seasons. Jimmy accomplished a ton. Manny's coaching his first game. But the reason that they do a comparison between the two of them, their coaching styles are similar. Their expectations of their players are similar. Manny, when he got there, said we were out of shape. He said there was a lot of fraction in the locker room. They were lethargic. Guys weren't working as hard as they were, and the previous coaching staff wasn't holding them accountable. Now, Manny would never throw Mark Richt under the bus, but you could kind of read between the lines with where he was going with that. And he challenged these kids. You're going to be in better shape. You're going to work harder. You're going to study the playbook more. And if you look simply at some of the body fat percentages of what guys were in January and what they are now in August as they get ready for the season, you can tell the Miami kids have bought in and they're working hard. Now it's a matter, can you win football games on a Saturday afternoon?
That's true, and I was just looking at the notes. Can't believe you got a Florida State alumni coaching Miami. That's really unheard of. Having a Florida State guy and down there in South Florida coaching the Hurricanes.
Yeah, it's definitely strange, but Manny's Miami through and through.
Right.
His dad was the mayor of Miami. His grandparents came over from Cuba and made a better life for themselves in the city of Miami. A lot of kids, and I was one of them in South Florida, I couldn't afford to go to the University of Miami. It's a private school, $50,000 and up, even if you're an in-state student. Florida State, I could have gone there and paid like $1,000 a semester because it's a state school. So a lot of people from Miami go, hey, I'm going to go take the education somewhere else. But this was obviously the dream job for Manny Diaz. If you saw it, getting the defensive coordinator job, he didn't want to leave. Then he got the head coaching job at Temple. He went there 2 weeks. As soon as Miami offered, Manny was on the first thing smoking back down to South Florida. And obviously now the rest is history. We'll see if he can live up to the lofty expectations that Miami fans have.
Yeah, I do want to ask you about the quarterback controversy. I know you guys had a transfer from Ohio State, and then everybody was playing for that quarterback controversy during training camp, and you went with this Williams kid. So what do you think about this kid going to be starting on Saturday night? Do you think he has the gusto to play in front of the probably a very large crowd there in Orlando?
Jaren's high school is about 5 minutes from where I live in Atlanta. He went to Central Gwinnett High School. Our kids would have gone there, but they got redistricted, as they always do. I got to know his coach a couple of years ago when Jaren signed with Miami, and I asked Coach Wofford simply, hey, how good is Jaren going to be? And you take that with a grain of salt because he's a high school coach. He's obviously groomed him since the time he was a starting quarterback as a sophomore. He told me then, and this was on National Signing Day, he goes, he'll be your starting quarterback in 2 years. And I looked at him, I go, really? I said, Nkosi Perry's there. He's a high-ranked recruit. We're bringing in other kids that are trying to compete. He goes, Jaren's the real deal. He goes, Jaren, it took him a year in high school. He said his sophomore year he wasn't very good. His junior and senior year, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the state. He's the highest-ranked recruit that Miami has brought in as far as composite ranking as a true freshman, I believe since Kyle Wright all the way back in 2005. He played in a really tough district in Gwinnett County in Georgia. They weren't really talented. Central Gwinnett doesn't have a ton of talent, but Jaren led them to the playoffs. He was a guy that was going to transfer. He did not like Mark Richt's offense. He had gained a bunch of weight. There was a lot of rumors that he was going to transfer. And I talked to his high school coach again this offseason. When Manny got the job, Jaren was kind of convinced to stick around and stay. And Coach Wofford then told me, he goes, look, if Jaren is dedicated like I think he's going to be the guy. And he went out and earned the job. There was no controversy. It was a three-man competition, and Jaren Williams was the best quarterback out of the three. I like the fact that Manny Diaz had the balls to name a redshirt freshman the starting quarterback. The easy way out would have given Tate Martell the job, the high-profile transfer from Ohio State. But Manny said, no, whoever works the hardest, learns his playbook, and gives us the best chance to win, that's Jaren Williams. I've watched a lot of young kids in college football right now go out and be great as true freshmen or redshirt freshmen. It's so different for Jaren Williams. Is he Trevor Lawrence? No. Can he be as good as a Jalen Hurts or somebody like that? Yeah, probably.
Well, I'm going to send you over to my broadcast partner who's helping me tonight, Matt. Matt, do you have any questions for John?
Actually, I do have a few questions for you, John. So, the first question is, how important is this game for Miami Hurricanes? I mean, it's a massive game coming up, Miami versus Florida. I mean, it's going to be the first weekend of the first day of college football. And so, how big and how important is this game for the Miami Hurricanes?
I think it's huge. I think it sets the tone not only for the Manny Diaz era, but for this season. Unfortunately, Miami in the past, when they played in these high-profile games, really for the last 15 years, has pretty much fallen on their face. I get it. Beat Virginia Tech, beat Notre Dame 2 years ago in a magical season. That was great. But how many times has Miami played in a pseudo-big game against somebody you think they're as good as, and they lose by 25 points? That's been the moniker of Randy Shannon, Al Golden, Mark Richt. Couldn't come up and win the big games. Manny Diaz has preached we need to win big games. We need to get back to being Miami, being tougher, outworking our opponents, all of those things. I think that would seal what the offseason really was if you go out and beat a preseason top 10 team. In the grand scheme of this year, I don't know that it really matters because, again, I don't think Miami's a national championship team. I think their goals are win their side of the division, get to the ACC championship game, play against Clemson, be more competitive than they were 2 years ago. But for us fans, you beat Florida, this could be an 11 or a 12-win football team. The schedule's easy. The toughest hurdle is on Saturday afternoon. And I think the Canes are going to shock the hell out of a lot of people because nobody's giving them a chance to beat Florida. I think Miami's going to go there and get the win.
And and you said it right there. It's like no one's giving Miami a chance at all. They're all saying the Florida SEC conference and everything. So they're saying that the hands down Florida is going to win. So Miami is like huge underdogs and stuff. And so with the past, with Miami definitely struggling and everything, I mean this is definitely giving them motivation. So and I mean just like what you said, it was going to be one heck of a game. And I mean, I really feel personally that Miami does have a good chance of upsetting Florida. And if they do upset Florida and win and stuff, I mean, do you think that they have a chance of going to the playoffs and possibly maybe winning the national championship?
I mean, if you beat Florida, your season's set up. You got a bye week and then it's North Carolina. There's a couple of grab-ass teams in the Central Michigan and Bethune-Cookman. Those are easy wins. And then you get into a very interesting, it's like 4-game ACC stretch. Virginia Tech, Virginia, Georgia Tech, I believe, and I don't have the schedule right in front of me, all in a row. They're all at home for Miami. You should be favored. You're better than every one of those football teams. Your one tough road test all year, and I don't want to say tough, it's at Florida State. Now, I get it. Rivalry game, throw everything out the window, but the Seminoles are going through a lot of changes and issues and lack of talent and all the other stuff you want to talk about. If Miami can beat Florida, they absolutely can run the table if they play up to their capabilities. Will they beat Clemson? No. They're not good enough right now to compete with the Clemson Tigers. I'm not sure that anybody in the country is, with Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne and Ross and Higgins and all these other guys that they have on that football team. But for Miami, it's take care of yourself. One of the big things that's happened with Miami, not only losing bigger games, it was allowing one loss to turn into 2 losses, 2 losses to turn into 4 losses, and it was a general disbelief that they could get through tough situations. They were always good when they were in front of teams. They were never really good recently coming from behind, which is a complete change from what Miami was in the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. Miami could be down 20, it didn't matter, they were going to come back. Confidence-wise, I think they need to play from in front against Florida this week. I think it needs to be a scenario where you get the Gators down. And part of the reason I think nobody gives Miami a chance, it's lazy-ass media. I hate to say that because I work in the media. We've all worked and been around lazy media members. It's easy to go, oh, Miami stunk last year, they're going to stink this year. If people actually go do the research on the football team, they were bad last year. A lot of it had to do with Mark Richt and that play calling. Awful quarterback play with Malik Rozier and N'Kosi Perry. And they lost a lot of close games where they just didn't get breaks or bounces at the end. They very easily could have been a 10-win team a year ago had they averaged about 3 more points a game on offense. Danny Mills comes over. He's a great offensive coordinator. He's going to renew with some motions, getting guys the ball in their hands, get away from the archaic offense that Mark Richt has. If people really examine Miami, Miami has a very good chance to be a 10-plus win football team this year. And I think, this isn't even the homer of me. They're better than the University of Florida, and they'll prove it on Saturday night.
Yeah, I know they're not going to Disney World before the game. Those two, because I know the last time Florida and Miami played, I think it was a bowl game, and then there was a fight in New Orleans. So I guess they're not going to Epcot on Friday.
No, and that was in 2000. They played a few times since then, but
Yeah.
that was the famous Bourbon Street brawl that Alex Brown got his ass whooped by a bunch of Miami players. And he showed up at the Sugar Bowl with a big shiner on his face, and Brent Musburger said, well, he got the worst head of the fight. And he absolutely did. But when you're going against Vince Wilfork and Bryant McKinney and some of the monster guys that were on that 2000 football team, you're not going to win many fights. There's no love lost between these two schools. They can't stand each other. I'll call the Gators a bunch of chicken crap because they've always been a team that's ran from Miami. I know they finally signed a home and home coming up in 24 and 25. But they discontinued the series back in the 80s because Miami kept kicking the crap out of them. And now all of a sudden Florida wants to play again because they feel that they're better. They're going to be proven to be frauds on Saturday night.
Well, it's funny. I have two brothers. One's a Miami fan and one's a Gator fan. So I'm going to enjoy watching my brother's Hurricanes beat the crap out of the Gators, so I can see my little brother cry and whine like a little baby sometimes, because he does. And it would be great to see that. You know, it would be great.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. I do have some friends that are Florida love. I'm really good friends with Channing Crowder, who played with the Gators, Johnny Rutledge, who played with the Gators as well. We've gotten to know each other through the years, through the media. And Channing and I have a nice little wager on the game. I told him, I said, I'll have a C-note in my pocket. You do the same. I'll find you after the game. Winner gets the other person's money. And then we'll go have a couple of drinks afterwards. So some Gators I'm friends with. Most of the people that will be in attendance at Camping World Stadium, I probably will want to punch in the face. I won't punch him in the face because I love my job. And I know social media will be all over that.
Right.
But it's going to be nasty down there on Saturday night, and I can't wait.
Well, John, please be careful because I don't have any money to bail you out of jail. So if you don't call me for bail money, okay? So do the best you can and but have fun. That's the good thing,
I will definitely have fun. I cannot wait, and there's no better way to kick off college football than an in-state rivalry between Miami and Florida.
Exactly. Well, John, have a great evening. Enjoy your trip down to Florida, and we'll talk to you hopefully throughout the rest of the season.
Will do. Anytime, guys.
All right, that's John Michaels from the State of the U. We'll be right back with our good friend Ryan Fannin, who is the voice of the Villanova Wildcats football right here on Herbie FM Sports Radio on Uski and Herbie.
Nothing that is wrong in wanting you to stay here with me. I know you've got somewhere to go, but won't you make yourself at home and stay with me? And don't you ever leave. Lay down, Sally, and rest here in my arms. Don't you think you want someone to talk to? Lay down, Sally, so soon. I've been trying all night long just to talk to you. Sun ain't nearly on the rise. We still got the moon and stars above. Underneath the velvet skies, love is all that matters. Won't you stay with me? Don't you ever leave. Lay down, Sally, and rest here in my arms. Don't you think you want someone to talk to? Lay down, Sally, and no need to leave so soon. I've been trying all night long just to talk to you. See the morning light, color in your face so dreamy. and say goodbye. You can lay your worries down and stay with me. Don't you ever leave. Lay down, Sally, and rest here in my arms. Don't you think you want someone to talk to? Lay down, Sally, there's no need to leave so soon. I've been trying all night long just to talk to you. Lay down, Sally, and rest here in my arms. Don't you think you want someone to talk to? Lay down, Sally, there's no need to leave so soon. I've been trying all night long just to talk to you.
All right, folks, welcome back to this Herbie Sports Radio, the Uski and Herbie show. We have the voice of the Villanova Wildcats, our good friend Ryan Fannin with us. Big game this Saturday, Ryan. First game of the week 0 kicks off in Hamilton, New York, between Nova Wildcats and Colgate. Yeah, so just talk about this game coming up, first game of the year.
Well, I think, first of all, it's a great opportunity for Villanova to go on the road against a ranked opponent that had a tremendous campaign last year. They held their opponents to Colgate to under 10 points a game. Their defense was just tremendous. They're ranked 13th in the country. They're the favorite to win the Patriot League. And Villanova's coming off a couple tough years in a row, back-to-back 5 and 6 seasons. Decimated by injury, and the Wildcats are healthy. I look at Villanova as a little bit of an under-the-radar team that has a lot of talent and a chance to surprise. So I think it's a great game for Villanova to go up and see if healthy they can come out and get a big ranked win on the road against a playoff team from last year. It'd be a great start of the year for the Cats if they could pull it off in Hamilton on Saturday. And the other exciting thing is just the fact that this is the first college game of the 150th year of college football. At any level, the Villanova game that kicks off at 12:06 will start the entire college football season at any level. And the fact it's the 150th year of football at the collegiate level, it's just great to be able to call this game on Saturday. I can't wait to get there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And this game was actually added to the schedule because I was talking to Coach Mark an hour ago, and he said they always were trying to find a 12th game, and they were supposed to play some team in Canada that was going to come to Buffalo to play them, and I guess that fell through, and I guess Colgate had an opening, and this is how this game came about.
Yeah, it was interesting. Like you said, Coach would have even more dynamics on how it all came about, but the fact that this game came together, Villanova's played Colgate not a lot over the years, but last time we played them was in a playoff game 11 years ago in 2008. A game Villanova won at Villanova Stadium, and it's an exciting game. Dan Hunt, the head coach of Colgate's done a tremendous job there, and of course Mark Ferrante, the long-time assistant coach before he took over for Coach Talley a few years back, and just excited for Coach Ferrante. I think he's got a great group that's just been, going through a summer where they've been really together. The participation of the guys around during the summer with a very high level across the board. I think he really likes the leadership of this team, and it's exciting. And I think, for Villanova football being picked 9th in the CAA in the preseason out of 12 teams, I can never remember Villanova being picked that low. So, a lot of these years, it's about not where you start, it's where you finish. And I think the Cats, as I mentioned earlier, can have a big year.
I think they need to have a big year because I think last year I saw them a couple times, up close, and I feel like the Wildcats didn't have a running game that wasn't that well, they didn't get that running game established like a couple of years ago. They had a good running game. Is that something they have to work on?
Yeah, I think offensively, just the point production and the overall offensive production from A to Z is something that, Coach Brian's talked about, just has to really improve. And sort of a neat story, the new offensive coordinator after Sam Venuto, who just did an incredible job at Villanova for so many years as the offensive coordinator, retired, and Chris Bowden came in, and a former Villanova standout quarterback, the all-time leading passer in Villanova history. So many great games. Of course, he played with the great Brian Westbrook. 1997, when Villanova went undefeated in the regular season before losing in the quarterfinals of the playoffs to Youngstown State. Chris Bowden, that was the first year he started in that 97 team that would have Brian Finner, and then would go on to a long-time career in the NFL. His brother Brad Finner and Josh Dolben, an outstanding wide receiver. That was one of the great teams in Villanova history, and Chris Bowden was the quarterback. So I just met with Chris last weekend up at Villanova, and he just talked about the excitement of coming back to his alma mater as the offensive coordinator, and it's an exciting time. So I'm really interested to see the different wrinkles that every offensive coordinator has their own things, but he's got big shoes to fill because Sam Venuto was his former coach, and as I said, it's just been an incredible coach for Villanova for so many years, and he'll be missed. But I'm excited for Chris for his opportunity.
Exactly. Well, Ryan, let me send you over to my colleague Matt, who's filling in for Uski tonight. You and McCree can answer questions for you.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Hope your evening is going well so far. My first question is: the last time that Villanova reached the playoffs was in 2016. So, what's the likelihood that they're going to reach the playoffs in the 2019 season?
It's a great question. I think a big opportunity lies right in front of Villanova in 3 days, because when you look at Villanova's schedule this year, the interesting thing is they play 12 games, not 11. So they have the 4 non-conference games and then the 8 CAA league games. And obviously the CAA is arguably the number 1 or number 2 conference in the country, the FCS level. So you better win your non-conference games. And the fact that Villanova doesn't have an FBS opponent this year, I'm looking at the non-conference schedule, and I'm seeing at Colgate, tremendous challenge, but a gettable game if things go well, because Colgate lost a tremendous amount of starters from last year's team. And then after that, Villanova plays Lehigh at home, at Bucknell, and Long Island University at home in November. So I sort of look at this game Saturday. If Villanova can get this game, they could have a really good record in non-conference, and then if they're able to put together a nice conference record, or even somewhere around 500 or better, they could turn 2 seasons, the last 2 years that were both 5 and 6, into not only a winning season, but a potential playoff season. So I like the way the schedule breaks, but the fact that Villanova doesn't play Labor Day weekend, wow, if they could get this game and have 2 weeks to go home with a marquee non-conference ranked win on the road against Colgate, and a chance to build off that, I think it could set the tone for an exciting year and a big year for Villanova to get back and have a very successful season on the gridiron.
So how important is that first game? I mean, of course, for the teams that win the first game, it gives them momentum. For the teams that lose, then they have to look to see what they did wrong and stuff and improve and stuff. But if they do win against Colgate, what will that mean for the rest of the season, and how will that propel them to a really good season?
Well, I think a lot of the things I just mentioned, I just think I like the attitude around this team. I think they're loose, they're having fun. I've seen some good leadership. Made a great visit up there last weekend, and just a lot of good karma around the team. But I also know it's a long season, and last year Villanova beat Temple at Lincoln Financial Field in the opener, and they still ended up having a losing season. So I think you've got to balance these and look at past history to say, yes, it's important for all the reasons I just explained to you, that Villanova has a very, I think, favorable non-conference schedule overall. So getting this game could set the tone for not only a great non-conference run for Villanova this year, but just an overall really good record. But then last year, Villanova beat Temple, and I was thinking, well, we could be on to big things, and then the injury bug hit us in a huge way again. So I just think when you look at the scholarship level at FCS, with 63 scholarships compared to, the mid-80s in scholarships at the FBS level. You get injuries to 4 or 5 key guys, and it can literally change your entire season. I mean, look at Villanova last year. In the middle of the year, Villanova lost at home, didn't score a point against New Hampshire and JMU, and 2 blowout losses at home to those 2 teams. But yet Villanova got healthy at the end of the year and went and won at Delaware, who ended up being a playoff team, and beat them solidly in the final game of the year because we were healthy. So to me, health is the greatest factor when you just don't have great depth, which all these teams don't, with just 63 scholarships at the level Villanova plays. So I don't want to overhype the opener, but I do know that there's no other non-conference game on our schedule that will present the kind of marquee win that this Colgate game presents for Villanova just in 3 days now.
That's true. Yeah, and like you said, if you win this weekend, you have 2 weeks off until you play Lehigh, and I know Ryan wants to have 2 weeks off because Ryan wants to enjoy Labor Day weekend, and have a good time at the beach or whatever he wants to do, and I know Ryan wants to do that, so you don't want to have a bad taste in your mouth when you have the relatives over, and and they ask you why you're so grumpy, so it's a good thing, it's good to start off the season 1-0, and plus against a team like Colgate who beat JMU last year. Yeah, and their only loss they had during the regular season was to an Army squad that went to a bowl game.
Yeah, and then the playoff loss to North Dakota State that ended their season. I mean, they had a tremendous campaign last year. Villanova got beat handily by JMU at home last year. And when Colgate beat JMU in the playoffs last year, I was just incredibly impressed by that win. I mean, that's one of those wins that you can't say enough how hard it has been in recent years with JMU being a recent national champion. How hard it is to beat JMU these days. So I give Colgate and their program a lot of credit. I just think the fact that Colgate has 5 starters back on offense and just 3 on defense, I just think that they are a team that's going to be a little bit in transition early after everybody they've lost. And that's why I think that this might be a really good timing game for Villanova.
Exactly. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I hope you enjoy this weekend up there in Hamilton, New York, and I hope the weather is nice and cool, better than 95 degrees and sweltering like we had the last couple of days here in Baltimore and Philadelphia. So, and I hope you enjoy your trip up there.
No, I appreciate it. It's supposed to be 75 degrees, maybe even low 70s, partly cloudy, so it's going to be a tremendous weather day on Saturday in Hamilton, New York. So things are all shaping up good. Now we'll just see if the Cats can go get a great victory on the road and come back to Villanova with a great start to the 2019 campaign. And thanks for having me on tonight, guys. Always a pleasure being with you guys. And enjoy the rest of your week. And let's get this college football season underway. 12:06 Saturday. Let's kick this thing off. I'm ready to see the 150th season of college football started by the Villanova Wildcats and the Colgate Raiders. You guys have a great evening. Thanks again.
You're welcome. So if you folks want to watch that game, we'll be live on CBS Sports Network. I think CBS Sports Network needs to put me on their broadcast because I'm promoting their broadcast all evening here. So it'll be Saturday at 12 noon right on CBS Sports Network. So we'll be right back here on Herbie Fan Sports Radio on Uski and Herbie with Dave Walters, who is the creator and host of a Florida Gator podcast. We're going to break down the Gators right here on Herbie Fan Radio. We'll be right back. All right, folks, welcome back to the Uski and Herbie show here on Herbie Penn Sports Radio. I'm Herbie, that's Chris Idell, and Uski is Ewan McCreeve, my broadcast partner. He's on assignment tonight, but he'll be back next Wednesday when we will kick this show in high gear with week 1, but right now we're doing week 0. We're previewing the other side of the football between Miami and Florida. Miami versus the Gators of Florida. This is Battle of Florida down in Orlando, and we have a good pal, David Waters, who is the creator and host of the Florida Gators podcast called Gators Breakdown. So, David, thanks for joining us. Talk about this game, like you and I were just talking off the mic here, week 0. So this is an interesting game. And this game was originally scheduled for August 31st, but ESPN wanted to move it to August 24th for the celebration of the 150th of college football.
Yeah, and probably being in Orlando had something to do with it too, and ESPN connections down there with Disney and all that stuff, and they got game day going on in the Magic Kingdom, and I don't like that probably too much. I think game day should be down by the stadium where all the fans are, and all the tailgating going on around there. But yeah, it's a cool event that ESPN picked this game, picked this rivalry to kick off 150 years of college football. And the two teams, there's a lot of talk. They just scheduled a home and home as well for 2024 and 2025. There's a lot of talk that these two teams should play more. But you got a big one coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, let's talk about the Gators quarterback, Franks. I know he came in 2017. He took over for Dan Mullins. His first year was last year, but he had the guy who went off to Central Michigan now, being the coach up there. So, what did you see during his development from 2017 to 2018?
Yeah, it took a little while, going from Jim McElwain to Dan Mullen, and we had some good moments early on in the season. Going to Tennessee, getting the road victory, and beating beating back-to-back weeks, Mississippi State and LSU, and had to go on the road to Dan Mullen's old team in Starkville. And while it wasn't a pretty game, still walked out there with a victory, and then defeated a pretty good LSU team at home. When Franks made some good plays, and then you had a mid-season back-to-back games of really subpar performance against Georgia, and maybe the worst performance of his career versus Missouri, which led to a benching. He's fighting for a starting job the week after, and Kyle Trask, the backup quarterback, goes down, so Franks was the guy anyway, and maybe that was a wake-up call. He started running the ball a little bit more, and I think that helped open up the offense a little bit. Defensive back started creeping up. Linebackers had to account for Franks running the ball, and that led a lot of one-on-one coverage out there. And Frank started hitting some passes down the field that he would miss earlier in the season. And it was probably the moment that he went from a Jim McElwain quarterback to a Dan Mullen quarterback. And a lot of that had to do with running the ball. So we need to see a little bit more consistency out of him going this year. You can't have those performances like you had last year against Georgia and Missouri. You need to kind of end the season, or you need to have this season the way you ended last season in that 4-game stretch where you ended the season also beating Florida State and Michigan. So we've got to see that the last quarter of the season claims and not necessarily what happened before that.
Well, Dave, my broadcast partner, Matt Tricanelli, filling in for Uski, has a question for you.
Yes. I hope that your evening is going well and everything. But so my question is this. So I see on the schedule that the Gators play number 16 Auburn on October 5th, number 6 LSU on October 12th. Then they go ahead and on November 2nd they play number 3 Georgia. So, and between that time they have a bye, and they also play a team that's not ranked. So with that 3-game schedule, tell me how important that is for that stretch of those 3 games for the Florida Gators.
Yeah, that is the stretch of the season right there. Auburn, LSU, South Carolina, bye week in Georgia, and that's the stretch we're going to be pointing to when we get to the end of the season. With what does Florida do in that stretch right there? A pretty good chance of going undefeated. You get by Miami, there's a pretty good chance of going undefeated into that stretch. And Auburn just named Bo Nix their starting quarterback, so they'll be starting a true freshman at quarterback, rolling into the swamp there. Florida and LSU, when those two teams get together, it's always a bloodbath, and kind of those games that kind of just go down to the wire. and then you travel on the road and go to South Carolina. You got a bye week, and then you got to come to Jacksonville and play Georgia, the team that you're going to have to beat if you want to go to Atlanta. Where Georgia has owned Florida the last 2 years. Last year was a little bit more close, was a little closer than the score indicated, but still, Florida's got to get past Georgia if they want to kind of live up to the peak of the expectations that you want to get to this season. Florida starts this season top 10, and every expectation, every goal that you are supposed to meet right there in front of you. So you come into the season ranked top 10, you have a easier path, and you can probably afford a loss. That loss probably for Florida can't beat Georgia for as good as we think that team could be in the end as well.
Okay, and then my other question is this: say for example, Florida loses to number 3 Georgia and number 6 LSU, and of course I know the rankings will probably be different when they play them, but say if they just lose by maybe a field goal for each of those teams, do you think that they would be worthy enough to get into the playoffs?
Yeah, it is according to what a lot of the other teams do. According to what those two teams do as well. Those two teams could go on to represent the SEC East and SEC West in Atlanta, and probably playing for something more as well. So, as tough as I think the SEC is, I'd be hard pressed. On the surface of putting the 2-loss SEC team in, that probably if Florida loses to Georgia, probably not going to Atlanta, not playing in the SEC championship game. I'm not one of those that think you have to be a conference champion to get into the college football playoff. I don't think that should be an automatic qualifier at all. But given 2 losses and it beats to those 2 teams, you're not taking anything away from those 2 teams. But I don't think a 2-loss SEC team that doesn't go to the SEC championship game or even win the SEC championship game really deserves to go to a college football playoff.
Exactly. Well, David, talk about your podcast. I know you work down there in Jacksonville, Florida. You have a podcast for Gators Breakdown and all that stuff. How did you start doing that?
It started as a passion, honestly. A big Gator football fan, and my wife was probably tired of me talking Gator football to her. She's just out of just wanting to try it. Before podcasts really caught on and got popular back in 2016, I started this, and I was happy to get 400 listens, and now well over 6,000, 7,000 listens an episode now, and it really caught on with some data and some trends that we look at and take some numbers, and really it lives up to the name Breakdown. We break down the game. We really just like the game of football. It's a football only podcast there, so it just really caught on. YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, all that good stuff. And that's where people can find it. But really just started out of a passion, and now I consider myself lucky. Former Gator players trust me. They'll come on the podcast. I come on the radio shows to talk Gators, and really just happy with the way it's turned out.
Well, it's pretty cool to have you on because I have a younger brother. We don't have the education to go to these schools, So my brother loved Florida since he was a little kid. My brother Will was a Miami Hurricane fan. So this is the Hyde Bowl Part 1 for me this weekend. So it's going to be fun to watch both of them scream and yell at each other and maybe curse words and maybe somebody's going to get pushed or something. I don't know. I think my brother's listening right now, but it's pretty fun to watch 2 brothers yell at each other, and I'm just sitting back relaxing and just watching them, yell at each other.
Yeah, and like I said, coming in, a lot of people think these 2 teams probably should play more. Given Florida's schedule and what they do, and having to play Georgia here in Jacksonville and losing a home game every other year because of that, and then playing FSU every year. And then also going through an SEC schedule. I don't think Florida should have a permanent matchup with Miami. Should they play more? Absolutely. But no other SEC team or many other teams in the country out there would have 2 permanent out-of-conference opponents. Florida would have to do that with FSU already added, and if they were to add Miami. So, Yeah, they should play more. Florida also wants to go schedule the likes of Texas and Colorado that are coming up. It's a decade away, of course, but you still got to have some schedule flexibility. Florida wants to play Miami every year, and a lot of that scheduling flexibility would go away.
Exactly. Well, Dave, thanks for joining us tonight. You could work. Good luck with the podcast, and enjoy the football. It's back this weekend.
It is back. Thank you, guys.
All right, folks. We'll be right back with our good friend Dan DeTora from Wake Up Call DT up there in Syracuse, New York. You probably heard him a lot during these teleconference calls and throughout the football season. He'll join us at 9:45 right here on Uski and Herbie show here on Herb FM Radio. We'll be right back.
Crackling rosy, get on board. We gonna ride till there ain't no more to go. Taking it slow. And Lord, don't you know, I'll have me a time with a poor man's lady, hitching on a twilight train. Ain't nothing here that I care to take along. Maybe a song sing when I want. Don't need to say please to no man for a happy tune. Oh, I love my rosy child. You got the way to make me happy. You and me, we go in style. Crackling rose, your store-bought woman, but you make me sing like a guitar humming. So hang on to me, girl, our song keeps running on. Play it now, play it now, play it now, my baby. Crackling rose and make me smile. Girl, if it lasts for an hour, well, that's alright, 'cause we got all night to set the world right. Find us a dream that don't ask no questions, yeah. Oh, I love my rosy child. You got the way to make me happy. You and me, we go in style. Crackling rose, your store-bought woman, but you make me sing like a guitar humming. So hang on to me, girl, our song keeps running. Play it now, play it now, my baby. Crackling rose and make me smile. Girl, if it lasts for an hour, well, that's alright, 'cause we got all night to set the world right. Find us a dream that don't ask no questions. Ba, 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 ba.
Alright, folks, welcome back to the Uski and Herbie show here on Herb FM Radio. We're waiting for Dan DeTora to give us a call. Coming up next week, we'll be live here at 8 o'clock here on Herb FM Radio. We have the head coach of Delaware State Hornets, the battle of the Free State next week up there in Delaware between Delaware State and Delaware. We'll have Ron Milstead, who used to play for the Washington Redskins. So we'll have him on the show. He's the coach of the Hornets now. And also we'll have some other great interviews like Gene Deckenhoff from Florida State, the voice of the Seminoles. We'll talk to him next week as well. So hopefully you folks stick around to listen to that. So we're going to wait for Dan to give us a call. In the meantime, here's the Bellamy Brothers with Let Your Love Grow right here on Herb FM Sports Radio.
That love light shines
All right, folks, welcome back to the Uski and Herbie show here on Herb FM Radio. I'm Chris Heidel. I'm Herbie, and Uski Ewan McCreef is on assignment this evening, and we have our good friend Dan DeTora, who does a very good live podcast on Facebook, Wake Up Call DT, who does a lot of stuff with Syracuse sports up there in upstate New York. So, Dan, what's the vibe around there besides Syracuse Mets doing really well? Because I'm a big Met fan. Just talk about what's the vibe around the football team?
Well, there's a lot of positivity. There's more than 5,000 new season ticket holders as of this upcoming season. Obviously, the first home game is going to be a big one with Clemson coming into town. And so, and Syracuse last year took care of home field advantage. They said they were going to lock the dome, and they did that exactly. Had no trouble at home, and now they'll have their biggest home test as their first home game this season. So fans are excited. There's a lot of positivity around it. There's a lot of good feeling. It's kind of funny to me because I try to be, the positive voice, and if something's not going that well, you try and swing it in a positive direction, and to hear more people being positive is nice. It's good to see for a change, especially here for Syracuse football. I mean, it's been a long time since the fans felt really good about something, but, I spoke with the players today at camp, and, they said that it's great that they're hearing all of that, but they got to lock it in indoors, and they got to take care of their business. And when people didn't believe in them last year, they did a lot of tremendous things. So they're just trying to stay focused on what they can control, but I can tell you that Syracuse definitely feels a lot more vibrant right now.
Yeah. Do you feel like last year, the turning point for this team is when they went to the bowl game against West Virginia and completely annihilated a very good West Virginia team that had, a good quarterback, a good defense line? Do you feel like that actually springboard for them to be something better this year?
I think what really has springboarded this team is what they've been able to do against Clemson the last few seasons. I think defeating Clemson after they had won a national championship, I think going into Death Valley and outside of a couple plays at the end of the game, they had quieted Death Valley completely, almost killed Death Valley, and got that win on the road where nobody wins. Nobody did win for over 2 years, I think, up to this point. So, I think that shows a turning point with Syracuse is how they played Clemson, not only the big bad wolf of the ACC, but of the country. And, I think that was definitely a piece. I think where this team goes now has a lot to do with the offensive line because there's been changes, and I've spoken with the line and fall camp, and they've all kind of played all over the place. There's nobody really in a specific spot right now on the offensive line, and it doesn't get talked about enough because people want to, discuss the quarterback situation and the skill players and whatnot. But, the team goes how the line goes, and as George O'Leary, former assistant at Syracuse and former head coach at UCF, had said, if you're not building the team in the trenches, you'll never win a championship. So, a lot of it has to do with this offensive line and guys like Carlos Venarello and Sam Heckel and Aaron Service, Evan Adams, Anthony Redd, Ryan Alexander, how these guys are going to fit in, where they're going to end up being, who's going to play center, who's going to kind of find their niche here before the end of camp. And then obviously it's Tommy DeVito, the different quarterback. It's a guy who is going to run second or third choice as opposed to first, and he's got a hell of a cannon for an arm and a lot of weapons. And this Syracuse Orange team's got a backfield that's deeper than it's probably been in a decade. So, I mean, there's going to be a little bit of a different look, same offense, but there's different players here now, and they're going to have to step up in these roles where the defense actually, to a pleasant surprise for Syracuse fans, the defense is where the veteran status is. The defense is where there's the secondary is probably better than it's been easily in the last 10 years. The defensive line has a lot of national exposure and respect right now. So, the defense is kind of holding down the fort, and it's up to the offense to have some of these guys step up and see what some of the veterans can do, but there's a lot of youth on the offensive side.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I know the first two games of the year for Syracuse is at Liberty, who actually has Hugh Freeze as their head coach, but right now he's in the hospital, but hopefully he's doing well. And then they have to go to College Park, where I'm going to see them on September 7th playing a Terrapin squad that basically has Josh Jackson, who was the quarterback at Virginia Tech for a couple of years. So it's going to be very interesting to see that. I think Syracuse could be 2-0, when they go to face Clemson on that. Hopefully, College Game Day will be up there.
Yeah, I think College Game. I looked into some of the stuff, and there's only like a couple other games College Game Day could maybe even think about going to, but I don't know why you wouldn't want to be at this game. There's only 2 teams ranked in the preseason top 25, and when it comes to the ACC, and that's Clemson and Syracuse. They were picked to finish Clemson first, Syracuse second in the Atlantic Division. It was good to see a lot of the ACC media agreed with me on that. I think the entire Atlantic Division prediction that I had was the same with the majority, and so, I mean, this game is a no-brainer for me, and the College Game Day should be there. It shouldn't even be a question. It should have been locked in months ago, so I hope that they make the right decision and come out. I mean, the last time Syracuse had Clemson in the Dome, Clemson had won a championship, and Syracuse took them down, and now Clemson's coming off of winning a championship, and they're coming back to the Dome. So it's a perfect story, and it's going to be homecoming, an early homecoming for Syracuse, obviously, because this is their biggest home game that they're going to play all season with Western Michigan, Holy Cross, Pittsburgh, BC, and Wake Forest coming in after that. So, I mean, easily this should be the game. But Tommy DeVito again. He's got a heck of a cannon. He's got a nice backfield. He can get the ball out there. He's got speedy receivers. He doesn't really come out cold. There was a game that he had at the Dome last season where he came out and threw a 60-plus yard pass on his first attempt when he came out. He didn't run the ball. He didn't go for a short yardage check down. He went right down the field. So, he has a lot of talent, but it's about this team coming together and focusing, and it's about him showing his leadership, because you start the season with 2 games on the road, and you can't overlook anybody. It's not coach speak to say you can't overlook Liberty or anybody out there, because you have to play the game. And then Maryland, Maryland could be a test, because Maryland is on the road, and Maryland's one of those teams that's kind of like a litmus test sometimes. So, Syracuse will have an interesting couple of weeks before they get into Clemson, but they can't focus on Clemson right now. They have to focus on Liberty.
Well, I want to ask you about I was watching you on Facebook the other day, Robert Drummond, who is actually, if you're from here in Baltimore, he's a well-known CFL Baltimore Stallion. So he was pretty cool that I saw him when I was a kid. You guys went to a place to get some nice uniforms for the season. You had you did some dress up or something. Can you tell somebody about that?
Yeah, so Rob and I, we've been friends for almost a decade now, and Rob, obviously played at Syracuse. He was a part of the last undefeated team at Syracuse back in 1987, and he went on to play for the Philadelphia Eagles. Then he went to the CFL and played for the BC Lions and the Toronto Argonauts and so on and so forth, and won some championships and had a hell of a career, especially for a running back, had a lot of longevity. And so we work with Charney's Menswear and Tuxedos, their studio partner. So we were on site on location, and they give us they give a nice garb. I got some nice wedding attire for a wedding I just went to recently. So we were there having some fun, and Rob being who Rob is, you put good into the world, you get good out. There was 2 guys there from Toronto who waited until after our show and came and introduced themselves, and the guy was like, "Hey, I remember you played for the Argonauts up in Toronto, and what are you up to now? What's going on?" So it's pretty amazing how, whether there's 2 people or 200 people in a room, they come up to Rob and they're just really good to him. So he's a staple of our community. He's a tremendous human being, and I'm proud to call him one of my best friends.
That's cool. So, well, Dan, tell everybody where they could watch your live every morning from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., right? You're doing your thing. So just talk about where people could go and watch you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. The spiel is pretty simple. We're live Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. It's Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. It's internet streaming radio on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Also on wakeupcalldt.com, our main site. And then we're on Facebook Live at the same time, simultaneously with video, facebook.com/livenowdt. Twitter is @calldt. Instagram is @wakeupcall_DT, and Facebook is wakeupcalldt.
That's cool. Well, Dan, thanks so much, and I hope to hear you throughout the rest of the football season. We'll talk more Syracuse down the road, and I'll hope to talk to you, listen to you on those teleconference calls.
No, absolutely, and thank you so much for the opportunity, and I wish you nothing but the best as you step forward into the season.
Thank you, Dan. Folks, thanks for joining us here on Herb FM Sports Radio for Uski and Herbie. We'll hopefully you folks will join us tomorrow, next Wednesday night. Let's book this. We'll see who's on the phone here. We'll try to figure out who's. We're still working on. I think we got one more guest, folks. We'll work on that right now. But we'll housekeeping here. Live next Wednesday night at 8 o'clock here on Herb FM Radio for the Uski and Herbie show. We'll be live. Hopefully we'll get Michael on here if Michael is available. Oh. Okay, so Michael is not available. So we'll get Michael on another time. So if you're looking for Michael Levy, who writes for out there in Arizona and Oregon are playing each other this weekend as well. Folks, thanks for joining us here on FM Radio. Thanks for Dan Torre for joining us. Also, John Michaels, who writes for the State of the U. Hopefully, he will not get himself arrested this weekend down there in the Camp Sports Roll. The game between Florida and Miami. And our good friend Ryan Harris. Thanks for joining us tonight as well. And also, want to say a shout out to Ewan McCreef. Uski will be back with us next Wednesday night, 8 o'clock, right here on Herb FM Radio. We'll get you ready for week 1 of ACC football and also CAA football as well. So until then, have a great night, everybody. And adieu. That means like our good friend Gary Thornton says. So have a good night, everybody.
Oh,